Hello all, welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Today, we're continuing our Disney December celebration by making the infamous voodoo man, Doctor Facilier. The not-so-good doctor runs a voodoo emporium in a dark alley in New Orleans, where he promises to give anyone who comes in anything they want at the low cost of what they need. He's basically a reverse Mama Udi. And only now that I'm making this do I realize that if you don't know who the Doctor Facilier is, there's no way you know about the other voodoo practitioner who shows up in the movie much later on. Oh well. Moving on. Beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. So, what do we need to build the Shadow Man? Well, I think he says it best.
I got voodoo, I got hoodoo, I got things I ain't even tried. And I got friends on the other side.
He's got friends on the other side.
We need hoodoo and voodoo to give our clients a bit of magical assistance in everything from growing hair to growing wealthy. We need to excel at things we've never tried before, or at the very least be able to summon creatures that can excel at them for us. And finally, and most importantly, we owe all of our power to the friends on the other side, who give us all the support we could possibly need. How generous of them. For our ancestry, I have long searched for a character that I could justify not giving the human ancestry. Dr. Facilier is not that character. As a human, we get 8 hit points, a boost to our intelligence and charisma, and a 25-foot movement speed. You know, bog standard human stats. But for our heritage, we're going to pick up the versatile heritage, to swipe the incredible initiative general feat as early as possible. The doctor is constantly looking over his shoulder, so we can't be caught off guard if a client turns violent. For our background, you might be tempted to pick up the charlatan background, but honestly, if you did, I take offense to that assessment. Dr. Facilier takes pride in delivering on every deal he makes. He gave that one guy hair, he gave Prince Naveen a lifestyle of hopping around freely wherever he wanted, and he turned Lawrence into the man he always wanted to be, just as promised. You can't tell me that such an honest, hardworking member of New Orleans is a charlatan. Instead, we're going to pick up the fortune-telling background, since the first thing we see the Shadow Man doing in the movie is reading our main character's fortunes. This will give us a boost to charisma and intelligence, training in occultism and fortune-telling lore, and the oddity identification skill feat, because what good is a magic charm from voodoo spirits if you don't know what it does? For our class, all of Dr. Facilier's magical power comes from a deal with a mysterious patron. The patron even threw in a magical servant to help him out, and to keep tabs on him to make sure he's keeping up his end of the bargain. If that doesn't scream witch, I don't know what does. As a witch, we're only trained in perception. Makes sense considering how dark the voodoo emporium is. It's easy to misplace things in there. We get expert proficiency in will saves, because there's no way you're letting the tricks we pull off get turned back on us. And lastly, we're limited to simple weapons and unarmed attacks. And we can't wear armor and still be Disney's most fashionable villain, so one of those things has to go. For our attributes, nothing Facilier do is particularly physically impressive, so there's no investment in strength or constitution. But dexterity does get a modest +1 because, well, let's be honest, he's a Disney villain. Of course he has a song and dance routine ready to go. Intelligence is at +4, because someone has to come up with the elaborate plans that get him all he wants by promising others what they want. Wisdom sits at a +1, not too high, since being too wise would mean avoiding deals with the friends on the other side, but just enough to get him to read people and add to his mystic allure. Finally, charisma is at +3. We're not missing a chance to pump up this anywhere in the build. Facilier's entire shtick revolves around charming his targets and sealing the deal. Hey, look, I know we're in the middle of a video, and I didn't want to bring this up, but some of the other guys were talking about how you're still not subscribed, and look, I vouched for you, but it's starting to look a little weird, and they're starting to float around ideas like that you can't be in the friend group anymore. So, look, just subscribe and this will be all okay, alright? Trust me. Alright, they're coming back. Just pretend we're still doing the video. As a witch, we need to choose a pact, and the Unseen Broker Pact fits Dr. Facilier perfectly. It's all about making deals and twisting the terms to benefit not just ourselves, but also our friends on the other side. Our friends give us an initial investment of a familiar that can make foes off guard whenever we cast hexes or sustain them, as well as grants us access to the occult spell list and the Pact Broker hex cantrip. This hex gives our foes a very good reason not to attack us, though it comes at the cost at a -1 to all deception checks to lie. Luckily, as I mentioned earlier, we never lie. We always deliver exactly what we promised. We also get the natural skill Ancestry feat, granting us training in 2 skills of our choice. For our spellcasting selection, we're going to be picking up spells to reflect Facilier's flair for theatrics and manipulation. Daze delivers a small bit of mental damage. Think of it as blowing your illusion dust in someone's face to throw them off. Figment creates simple illusions, perfect for parlor tricks. Haunting him for asking your foes if they're ready. Telekinetic Hand lets you move objects around with your shadow, adding an extra spooky touch. And of course, musical accompaniment sets the stage for introducing your friends on the other side. And that's it for our cantrips. For our first level spells, we're picking up truly fitting options, like Exchange Image. A huge part of the movie involves swapping Prince Naveen's body with Lawrence's, so this spell can let us do just that. Charm is essential. Who could resist Facilier's unearthly charisma? And Concordant Choir is perfect for belting out your theme song so loudly it causes sonic damage. Isn't level 1 fun? But now, with all the setup out of the way, we can jump straight into level 2, where we pick up the Shadowcaster dedication. This gives us the Cloak of Shadow focus spell, which lets us extinguish light sources in a 20-foot emanation around us, giving us mobile concealment for up to a minute. Perfect for making dramatic exits, or just making sure no one sees us while we finalize the deals. We also get the Charming Liar skill feat, which ensures that anyone leaving the Voodoo Emporium thinks, "What a nice young man," right before the side effects of their deal kicks in. At level 3, we pick up Discreet Inquiry. Not all of our clients come with news articles attached, so we'll need a way to get good at reading their wants without leaving them any the wiser. This feat lets us gather information with finesse. No need to make a scene, just a subtle probe into their desires. And did I mention rank 2 spells? Because now we have the real power. Telekinetic Maneuver sends our shadow to trip, shove, or disarm foes from a distance. Illusory Creature lets us conjure up a creature's greatest fear, as long as it's, an actual creature. And Animated Assault lets our shadow throw things at foes, preferably very heavy things. At level 4, we can pick up the Rites of Convocation class feat to always be 10 minutes away from an Animate Dead spell. What we'll use this spell for will be covered later, but for now, just know that you don't have to prepare it ahead of time as long as you've got 10 minutes to seal the deal. Just be careful though, you're already in pretty deep with your friends. We wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you. We also grab the Confabulator skill feat, which reduces the bonus that foes get who have caught us in a lie previously, from detecting our future lies. After all, the Doctor's reputation precedes him. Tiana knew of him and knew to stay away without ever having met him personally. People talk, and in Doctor Facilier's case, those rumors can make it a little harder to pull off our next trick. But a little less so with this feat. At level 5, we can pick up the Clever Improviser skill feat, which adds half our level to any skill we don't have training in. Now we can do things we ain't even tried. We also get the Magical Fortitude feature, which helps explain why Dr. Facilier is never sick. I always assumed it was because he was a doctor, but it turns out magical protection from voodoo spirits works just as well. Did you know at level 5 spellcasters get rank 3 spells? I did. So let's cover them. Shadow Spy lets us send off our shadow to spy on Lawrence while we're off fixing his mistakes. Wall of Shadows summons our shadowy friends to protect us from unsatisfied clients. And Enthrall shows our foes their dream restaurant to convince them to stop fighting you and turn in the prince. Okay, that might be a little bit specific, but you get the idea. And at level 6, we get Enhanced Familiar class feat, which grants our familiar access to 2 additional familiar abilities. When you combine this with the extra familiar abilities we get from being a witch, we now have a total of 7 abilities, letting us transform our familiar into a fully fledged shadow, giving it resistance to all damage equal to half our level, the ability to slip through gaps as small as an inch, sneak around like the shadow it is, and even enfeeble foes by stealing their shadows. Also at this level, we get the Half-Truth skill feat, which allows us to use deception and diplomacy interchangeably. After all, like I said, everything we say is technically the truth. At level 7, we become an expert spellcaster, boosting our athletics proficiency to master. We also get the Bone Mott skill feat, which lets us use our diplomacy to impose a penalty to foes' will saves. This makes it even easier for foes to fall victim to our illusion and enchantment-based spells, as we charm and manipulate them into making deals they'll regret. Speaking of spells, at 7th rank, we unlock 5th rank spells like Honeyed Words, granting us a +4 status bonus on deception checks, making it even easier to talk our way out of sticky situations. Pernicious Poltergeist sends our shadow to attack a foe in one of 3 different ways, each of which affect a different saving throw. And Suggestion lets us urge an otherwise reluctant foe into making a deal they'll regret, giving them everything they've ever wanted, and a little something extra on the house. At level 8, we can now use the Shadow spell feat to send our shadow along with any spell we've cast, granting allies a +2 to stealth, or enemies a -2 to perception, as our shadows divert attentions onto itself. I guess it figures that our shadow is a bit of a show-off too. We also pick up impressive performance, allowing us to make lasting impressions with our performance skills. This skill feat lets us get targets so caught up in the song and dance that they don't even want to think about what they're agreeing to. But we do. Hey, look! A human that doesn't take the multi-talented feat at level 9. Instead, we're going to pick up incredible improvisation, giving us a +4 to one skill check we're untrained in once per day. Just don't think too hard about where that sudden burst of insight came from. It's not like we've made any deals or anything, right? We also get the Reflex Expertise feature, boosting our fortitude saves to trained. And at level 9, we can call on our friends for a little bit of extra help with rank 5 spells. Here's what we've got. Animate Dead lets us summon more shadowy allies to wreak havoc and help track down the prince. Illusory Scene makes your offers just a bit more tempting by creating a convincing illusion to put your targets deeper into your web. And Invoke Spirits unleashes your shadow minions on a 10-foot burst, dealing damage and possibly causing foes to become frightened or even flee the fight altogether. At level 10, we're going to get the Lesson of Bargains with the Major Lesson class feat. This gives us access to the Over the Coals hex. This hex is perfect for keeping our clients in check, allowing us to punish any foe who hasn't upheld their end of a bargain. They either pay up or they suffer persistent mental damage until they do, and you thought the IRS was scary. We also grabbed the Lie to Me skill feat, letting us use our mastery of deception to instantly know when someone's lying to us. At level 11, we pick up Fascinating Performance, which, surprise, lets us fascinate people with their performance. It might be self-explanatory, but it's also incredibly fitting for our villain. We also get Perception Expertise and Weapon Expertise, though, let's be honest, the Shadow Man's not exactly picking up a sword anytime soon. He's too busy with his shadow and spells to do all the heavy lifting. And of course, rank 6 spells can lift very heavy things. Cursed Metamorphosis lets us turn people into, well, anything. Like a frog, for instance. Not sure why that would ever come in handy, but I'm sure you'll think of something. Phantasmal Calamity uses our illusions to show a target's dreams crumbling before their very eyes, dealing crushing mental damage and potentially stunning them. Nothing like breaking someone's spirit to seal the deal, right? Poltergeist Fury gives our shadows the green light to wreak havoc, unleashing piercing damage on everything within a 20-foot emanation. It's pure chaotic devastation, brought to you by your friends on the other side. At level 12, we pick up Shadow Reservoir, allowing us to prepare an extra spell, as long as it's 2 levels below our maximum. Of course, there is a catch. This is us we're talking about, after all. The target can use either their normal save or their will save, whichever is higher. It's a gamble, but it's the price we pay for a little bit of extra versatility. We also grab the Lasting Coercion skill feat, letting our threats and manipulations have a longer lasting impact. Once you've struck fear or doubt into someone's heart, it tends to stick with them for a good long while. At level 13, we gain Shadow Pact, which lets us cast a creation spell for the low cost of a drop of blood. It's a perfectly fair trade, don't you think? After all, nothing in life is free. We also get the Defensive Ropes feature, increasing our armor proficiency to Expert, because even the most stylish villain needs a little bit of protection. And Weapon Specialization gives us a slight damage boost if for some inexplicable reason we end up actually using a weapon in combat. Also, we get 7th rank spells at this level, and let me tell you, it's pure chaos from here on out. Every single one of our spell choices is about letting our shadows run wild and wreak havoc. Tempest of Shades summons a swirling storm of shadowy figures that tear into everything nearby, creating a whirlwind of destruction that no one wants to get caught in. Raid Shadow Legends sends a horde of sponsorships to assault your enemies, striking fear and dealing devastating damage while people try and fail to fend them off. And Telekinetic Bombardment lets your shadows toss everything but the kitchen sink, or, never mind, just include the kitchen sink, at your foes, making sure nothing is safe in your path of destruction. At level 14, we take Rites of Transfiguration, ensuring that we can spend 10 minutes to switch out any spell slot we have for a Cursed Metamorphosis to get ourselves a little froggy prince. We also grab the Slippery Secret skill feat, making us immune to even truth-detecting magic. No spell, divine insight, or mystical interrogation will ever unravel our web of half-truths and careful deceptions. At level 15, we get the Fleet Feet, letting us move 5 feet further with every stride we make. It's perfect for making a dramatic getaway or just keeping one step ahead of our latest client. Our Occultism proficiency increases to Expert with Master Spellcasting, and finally, we grab Reveal Machinations, which allow us to uncover hidden plots and schemes. It's like pulling back the curtain to show that we've been in control the whole time. We also get 8th rank spells, but to be honest, none of these options really scream Shadow Man to me. That said, we can at least pick up Prying Survey to scour an entire swamp for our little runaway frog friends. At level 16, we pick up our second lesson with the Lesson of Shadow. This lesson grants us the Malicious Shadow Hex spell. This nasty trick lets us turn an opponent's shadow against them, dealing 3d10 damage per round until they somehow manage to escape their shadow. Spoiler, they won't. We also grabbed a Streetwise skill feat, letting us use our natural charisma to gather information. Maybe that's how we knew so much about Tiana's backstory despite having never met her. At level 17, we pick up Fleeing Diversion, allowing us to pull up the classic, "What's that behind you?" trick, before immediately sneaking or hiding away. It's the perfect move for slipping out of a sticky situation. We also gained the Will of the Pupil feature, boosting our will save proficiency to Master and upgrading all successful will saves to critical successes. For our final rank of normal spells, we pick up Unspeakable Shadow, unleashing a terrifying shadow beast on a target. These creatures frighten the foe and force them to waste their actions fending off the beast instead of dealing with us. And while yes, there is technically a small chance that this can instantly kill the opponent, let's be honest, that's not exactly Disney-approved behavior. We're also going to pick up Overwhelming Presence, which allows us to exude an aura of dominance so powerful that even the most defiant foes bow under its weight. It's the perfect spell for asserting that you're the one in charge, a fitting touch for someone who seems to have the upper hand in all cases. And Proliferating Eyes grants us countless watchful eyes, lets us scour the entire city very quickly for a little lost frog prince. At level 19, we pick up the Shameless Request skill feat. When you've got a reputation like yours, there's not exactly a risk of people thinking any worse of you, so why not go all in and see what you can get away with? If they say no, well, that's their problem. We also get Legendary Spellcaster, boosting our spellcasting proficiency to Legendary, ensuring that we're carrying out our friend's best interest with unmatched magical prowess. And, as a little treat, we unlock a 10th rank spell, Shadow Army, because what better way to take over the Mardi Gras than by unleashing an endless horde of shadows. And finally, at level 20, we finish our build with one last focus spell for the road. The Shade Disciple class feat grants us the focus spell, Inscrutable Mask, which provides a status bonus to all the skills that define Doctor Facilier: Deception, Intimidation, and Stealth. With this spell, you'll be more conniving, terrifying, and elusive than ever, everything the shadowy dealmaker needs to stay on top. And for our final skill feat, we're going to grab Slippery Prey, which reduces the multiple attack penalty that we take for escaping grabbed, restrained, or immobilized conditions. We wouldn't want anything to stop us from making a speedy getaway, would we? Alright, let's take a look at the pros and cons. First off, we're a master manipulator. With high charisma and a plethora of skills like deception, intimidation, and diplomacy, you can charm, frighten, or coerce anyone into making a deal with you. Add in spells like suggestion and honeyed words, and you're a silver-tongued nightmare. Next, we are extremely versatile, with abilities like Shadow Reservoir to give us any spell in the game, and ways to simply turn difficult opponents into frogs. We don't really have any easy way to counter us. And finally, anything we can't do, well, we can get some allies to help us out. Witches have some of the best familiars in the game, and we get plenty of spells to let us send out our shadows to do, well, basically anything they want. For our cons, however, we may be experts at avoiding fights, but if we do find our way into a brawl, we don't exactly have the hit points to be a tank. Next, we have 500,000 focus spells and only 3 focus points, meaning unlike our spell slots, we may have to pick and choose some of our more interesting features. And finally, the Doctor may have one of modern Disney's only on-screen kills, but that kill was against the bug, and it shows too, because we don't really have the damage potential to be threatening to anything much bigger than that. Alright, that's the build. Thank you for watching Doctor Facilier. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you liked it. And check out our community polls to have a say in which Marvel character we make at the end of the month to wrap up our Disney December celebration. Bye!